Fan Frenzy is where we're at. That's right, Fan Frenzy, where the fans take control of the conversation. Tristan, what have we got? We got a lot.
We have got lots. Thanks to everyone who jumped in. This is a popular Fan Frenzy this week.
Oh, I like
I think because Oscar is our man, so we're jumping on board. Chris,
Aussie Oscar, if you want to hear about that, listen to the main episode, but absolutely good.
Lots going on. Chris is our first commenter. This is going to be a strange one to sum up. The race was so tetchy. What's tetchy mean?
Oh. Spelt?
Tetchy.
H-Y. Techie.
Not techie.
How's it spelled?
Tetchy. Tetchy.
Oh, maybe it's a spell. Maybe it's a typo.
Is it a typo? Is tetchy a word?
Tetchy. An adjective. Irritable and bad-tempered. Thank you, Chris. Well done.
Thank you, Chris.
We're better. It was bad-tempered, wasn't it? Oh, actually, main episode. We didn't even talk about Max's run-in with
JP.
Yeah. How did we not talk about that?
I think we did sort of mention a little bit at radio chat. We talked about it.
Not with him.
I thought JP was pretty good.
I thought it was all okay.
Yeah, I thought it was
we
good
talked
too.
about his move, but okay.
Anyway, tetchy. I didn't know that word. I've learned that word today. Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Our race was a 6 out of 10. I can't really give it much more than that. Great to see a new winner, but 3 points to Lando.
Who's this? Chris who?
This is Chris. This is Chris.
Chris.
Dr. Art.
Oh.
This is our man, Chris.
Chris.
Come on, Chris. Sorry, Australia. He was quicker over the weekend. No, he wasn't. Got pole. Doesn't matter. Was pulling away from Oscar after he got track position. After he was pitted first unfairly. I'm not having that. I feel like McLaren should be backing their number one driver. They did, and they shouldn't have. That's because Oscar should have gone in first. He is number one. He's ahead in the championship. Doesn't matter. He's too far back. What if Max wins the championship by 4 points? Max is going to win it by a lot more than that. That's where they gave away 5 points. I'm not having that.
7 points,
I'm not having that. Can we veto fan votes there?
No.
That's poor. Thank you, Chris, for your 3. I'm not having that. 2 to Lewis, 200 podiums. The GOAT. I don't mind that. That's good. And he's given 3 to Oscar. Has he given 3-2-3? Can you do that? Are you allowed to do that?
Well, all right.
I don't know about that. I think
One
we'll pay
to
that.
Lando.
1 to Lando. We'll work that for you, Chris.
Yeah, you made a mistake, obviously.
I think you've made a mistake on the top. So, 1 to Lando. That's better. 3 to Oscar. Deserved to be an F1 winner. Future
now he's
champion
talking
material.
sense. He must
but
have had a
getting
coffee
the
or something.
first win in this way feels a bit hollow. Victory painting finished and available at drart.com to find it. I think it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek from there, Chris. He's obviously a very upset Brit.
You brought this up in the main episode.
I did.
I did. I think all his own way.
They had their own way last week, and now it's our turn.
I'm disappointed in you, Chris.
Deal with it, UK. Deal with it. Like the Ashes, deal with it. Dud goes to Max.
How good was it that there was an anniversary for the ball, the run out? I love it. So
Fantastic.
Anyway, sorry.
Took me back to Mitchell Johnson days. Dud, Max. I feel like Dud should be Chris. When he's not in the fastest car and winning, he reverts back to a petulant child mode. Pathetic.
I can't believe we didn't talk about this.
That's angry.
I can't believe we didn't talk about this.
Hero of the hour, Jean-Pierre Lambassi, giving it back to Max on the radio and not taking his BS anymore.
I do like that.
Question. This is a trauma-based question.
Yes, great. It's back.
I'm not answering this. Checo, how's he sleeping?
Yes, how is Checo sleeping?
I refuse to answer.
Poor old Checo, he's not sleeping. He's too busy trying to drink cups of tea at Christian Horner's house because they're having these meetings to find out what's going on. He's overthinking. Don't you love it when people say they're overthinking? But great segment. We'll bring it back, Chris.
Can you underthink?
Yeah, because you just don't think about it.
You just
get on with it.
underthinking?
Yeah, that's my life.
What's the correct level of thinking?
My life is underthinking.
Oh, boy. Paul Cook, 3 to Lando. Oh, man.
Paul.
I'm off this episode already. This is Paul. This is Paul from Hands. 3 to... I feel like Paul's made another typo. Then instead of typing Lando, he should have written Oscar.
Far out, Paul. What are you doing? You're one of our favourites.
I know. 3 to Lando, which I think really should be 3 to Oscar. 2 to Oscar. I think he should have Lando there. So that's all right, Paul. We'll forgive you. You've put them the wrong way around. 1, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Bottas, why not? I just like him. Well, if that's the case...
I don't mind that
If
last
that's
comment.
the case, I'm going to go 3 Lando. And
I like the last comment.
If the last point doesn't matter, well, I'm going to add it to Oscar's score this weekend, and we're going to have 3 to Lando and 3 to Oscar Paul.
For this crap.
Oh boy, this is a wily looking fan frenzy this weekend. Lando gets the points for me because he drove the wheels off that McLaren and followed team orders.
My God.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Hero of the day. Hero of the hour. Oscar. Absolutely awesome to see the young Aussie take his first win in F1
Why is it taking a long time?
I don't know why Oscar's getting all these honourable mention comments
This
when
is
he
ridiculous.
won
And
had
drove
the lead
the
into
race.
turn 1.
When you have it removed through a pit stop situation.
That you should have had first.
Come on,
Oh,
Paul.
man. Dud of the day, Max.
I don't want to continue on this episode.
Dud of the day
I think Fan Frenzy needs to finish.
Dud of the day can also be Paul in here for this one. Dud of the day, Max / and Paul. The chips are down, so he sends it into Hamilton for an impossible overtake. Entertaining, I suppose, but he needs to keep perspective. Question, McLaren debrief. What's Lando saying? What's Oscar saying?
Lando saying sorry.
Okay, what's Oscar saying?
You beauty.
What's Andrea saying?
That was embarrassing.
And what's Zach saying?
I've got sponsors to think about.
Okay.
This was our moment of celebration.
All right. Would love your take on all 4. There you go. Race ranking 8, but it's a 5.
What?
He's giving 3 extra for Oscar.
Oh, jeez.
So that's where he's working it out there.
Oh, Paul, we need it. We need it.
Oh dear. Royce Peters, bringing back a little bit of sensibility this episode. Race ranking of 9 for Oscar's win. Correct, Royce. 3 to Oscar, was the fastest on track for 2/3 of the race and well deserved for the win. Thank you, Royce, for saving Fan Frenzy this weekend. 2 to Lewis. The Lewis of old is still alive and well. And 1 to Checo. How do you feel about that one? Made up for his shocking qualifying. 2 duds of the day. First one goes to Crofty and his concerns over Verstappen's sleeping habits. Yeah. If Verstappen's sim racing was an issue, the team wouldn't allow it. Spot on.
Well, actually, guess what? The team's told him he's allowed to do it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've come out and said
that's poor, and I like
that.
that.
He's not allowed to do it anymore. He's allowed to do sim racing, just not late night ones.
The car was rubbish. The strategy was rubbish. End of story. Nearly hit the mute button. I don't mind that. Also to Lando. Childish sulking on the radio. Walked past Oscar on the podium to spray Lewis. And the McLaren representative with champagne was rude to Lewis post-race. Yes, correct. When he made a compliment about McLaren's speed. Grow up, mate. You've won 1 race. My hero of the hour right now is Royce. Because he's hit everything on every nail on the head there.
Yeah, he's lined him up and going good.
Well done, Royce. You are my hero of the hour. Question, a lot tougher to answer now, but who wins their first race next?
Oh, good one. Great question. Well, you reckon it's Oscar because you tipped Oscar to win the next race.
Well, it did, so tick for me for that one. What about then? I mean, that is a lot tougher to ask now. It's like who wins their next first race? Maybe who's our next different race winner for the season?
Yeah, now we've got Oscar out of the way, the obvious one.
Who hasn't won yet? Who has won? Lewis has won, George has won, Max has won, Checo's won.
We've had 7. We've had the 2 Ferrari boys.
2 Ferrari boys won. So Sainz,
we've had 2 Mercedes
Leclerc,
boys. I don't think
Hamilton,
Checo's won one.
Hamilton, George, Oscar. Yeah, he has. Checo. Well, I mean, like, is it for
that's the 4 teams. That would be 8 drivers to win one. We've only had 7 race winners.
Maybe Checo hasn't won one.
I don't think Checo's won
I'm totally
Let me go early in the season where we forget about things.
Well, that's it. I wondered. No, he hasn't had a win, has he? It's been 2s and 3s, hasn't it? I'm going to say...
You had a good start with good results, but kind of second, round 2, round 1.
I thought round 1 was a win. Sorry, my fault. I'm going to go the great man. Fernando's going to nab the next win. Not sure where it's going to be or how it's going to be, but I think the great man's going to take number 33.
Alonso.
Yep. Who are you going with?
Oh, so I think Oscar wins the next race for McLaren to answer his question. Yep. Next race winner.
Next different race winner.
Wow, that's a tough question because Dan Ricciardo.
Okay.
In a Red Bull.
Okay. All right. Fair. Nat Pollard, race ranking of 6 out of 10 and only for the drama. Okay. 3 to Oscar. He might have been able to pull off the win on merit, if not for his team undercutting him with Lando. 2 to Lewis. Great drive and handled the Max collision fallout very professionally. And 1 to Lando. He's genuine race pace, but needs to improve his starts, especially the second phase. Just could have seen him out in front for the entire race instead of getting swallowed at the start. Feel I need to do a 3-2-1 for dud of the day, says Nat.
2 seconds.
Yep.
Everyone needs to be clear that Lando didn't have race pace across the whole race.
No, he didn't.
And not even necessarily after the last pit stop. One driver was following instructions, the other one wasn't. Just to be clear. Anyway.
There.
Yep.
All right, so Nat's doing a 3-2-1 for dud of the day,
Yes, good.
All right, 3 to McLaren for making a 1-2 finish look like a strategy train wreck.
Yep. Okay.
2 to Max for letting the petulant Max come out and play. Grow up, dude.
Yep.
And 1 to Rosberg.
Oh, good.
For his post-podium interview with Andrea Stella telling you how to manage his drivers. Such a cringe interview.
Oh, God. Everything he does is so cringe. But
I disagree with that one.
It was exactly what you were talking about.
Yeah.
But he's still... How does he make it so cringy when he speaks?
I think it's just his personality, isn't it?
Oh, far out. I hate him. Hate's hard.
Yeah.
Hate's hard, but... God, I don't need to see him on TV.
Hero of the hour, whoever's idea it was to have a marshal present trophies. Damn fine work. I totally agree with you. I love that. Get those people in. I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago there was a category race in Italy, and it was a random spectator that was plucked from the crowd that came and waved the checkered flag, and I love that. Just at random, which is so good. Question: out of all the drivers, who do you not yet have a contract for next year? Or maybe some do and not delivering. Perez, maybe. Who do you think will not have a seat in F1 next year? Who do you think's not going to have a seat?
I can give you a list.
Okay.
You want a list?
Yeah.
Sargent, Perez, Magnussen, and Zhou. Possibly Bottas, actually, as well.
Really? That's like... That's like 2/3 of the field that's left. Just say Logan? You did say Logan, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. That's a lot of people to replace. I imagine Doohan will come in.
Yep.
Which means who's taking? Yeah. So yeah, no. I think
Doohan's got the available one in Alpine. I guess he's not taking anyone's. It's there.
Yeah. So I think Doohan's coming in.
Yep.
Behrman obviously is coming in.
Yep.
Good point. Who else is coming in?
Who else? That's the question, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay.
That's a lot to drop. Like,
yeah. So who am I wrong out of those ones though? Out of those ones, Zhou. Well, one seat's taken from Hulkenberg, so that would require either Zhou or Bottas to not get their seat.
I think Zhou's not getting a seat.
Oh yeah, so one of them are going, aren't they? Because Hulkenberg's coming in. We've got Behrman going into that Haas seat. Ocon's going into the other Haas seat, isn't he?
He is.
That's confirmed, isn't it?
Yep. So it will be after Spa.
Oh, so it's not confirmed.
It's not confirmed. It's just rumoured.
Yeah.
But
it's been rumoured very strongly to the point where it seems like it's confirmed.
It's that sort of like
Logan Sargent isn't keeping his seat, even though he's had some sort of improvement in his driving, hasn't he?
Let me make it a bit easier. Let's just go the other way, right? So we've got a seat at Williams.
Mm-hmm. Agree. Do you agree with that? Logan Sargent isn't keeping his seat?
I don't know. Maybe he might. He's had a pretty good fortnight.
Pretty good or better?
Better?
Yeah. Pretty good's a stretch.
All right. So who's... I don't know.
Which he was told to, but yeah, I can't see it. So
there's a seat at Mercedes, there's a seat at Alpine, there's a seat at RB, there's a seat at Haas, there's a seat at Sauber, and there's a seat at Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. So it's going to require either re-signings.
So Doohan's going to have Alpines.
I think so, yeah.
Dan's going to have the RB. Ocon's...
No, Dan's going to be in a Red Bull.
Well, he needs to stay at the RB in order to get that. So I'm saying contract-wise, he's getting the contract. So Doohan's getting the Alpine.
Yep.
Dan's getting the RB. Ocon's getting the Haas. Yeah?
Yep.
Bottas is getting the Williams seat. No, sorry. Bottas is getting the Sauber seat.
Not necessarily.
Or Bottas is getting the Mercedes seat. Bottas gets a seat. I'm going to say Bottas gets the Audi seat. I'm going to say Antonelli gets the Williams seat. And I'm going to say Sainz eventually goes to Mercedes.
Sainz ends up Mercedes.
Or nowhere.
Is Sainz a sneaky chance to still sit in that Red Bull?
No.
There's no talk of it, is there? But
there's only a little bit of talk, but he's
no,
not.
No. But it's gone, hasn't it? Like it's gone as in, oh no, that's not going to happen anymore. You'd have to think that that's their best bet, wouldn't you? That's their best bet over Ricciardo, over Perez, over Lawson, over Yuki.
Yeah,
it surprises me that they're not more into him. Is there? Tell me.
Yeah.
With all this Max stuff going on, things are not a pretty place at the moment. Is that becoming more and more likely that Max goes to Mercedes sooner rather than later?
Don't know.
So it came out that if Helmut Marko leaves, Max's contract can be broken.
I'd have no idea.
No. So it came out that was part of it all.
Oh, right.
And then it was then...
It's an unusual clause
it was then discredited. It was all around his protection, political play.
Okay.
So, but it just feels like that Red Bull team is not a happy place at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
And so there's a gaping gap in driver abilities if he leaves. Because while I believe Ricciardo would do quite well there, there is certainly no guarantee with the Ricciardo that was sent to McLaren. And the time he's taken to get to come to grips with RB, there's certainly no guarantees there. I think it would work fine, but there's no guarantees there. There's a huge gap. And I just feel like Red Bull just is not a happy place for Max at the moment. You yourself said Mercedes is the right car to be in for the next 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I just wonder whether that not being filled is just going to continue on for a really long time. And I'm with you. I think Kimi Antonelli going to Williams is the absolute correct move for everyone involved. Don't put him in that bloody seat, whatever you do.
He did say he wasn't ready on the weekend himself.
He did for the Mercedes drive.
For F1, his comment is he's not ready for F1.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, so I sort of feel like that's the move. I like this 1 year off thing for a lot of these young drivers too. But yeah, there's a lot still to play out, isn't there?
Yeah,
there's a huge amount to still play out.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't know if we ever answered that question.
Kind of did in a really roundabout way, didn't we?
Long.
Jason Carter. Just a comment from Jason this week.
Good.
I'm too upset to quantify any aspect of this race with a number. This should be the happiest day of the season with
Coming
Oscar on the top step, yet I feel so empty. McLaren, why have you done this to me?
I tell you,
a very sort of emotional.
And Jason is a math man if you ever come across one. And so for him not to be able to label numbers into this, it's big. It's big and emotional.
Matthew Addis, a race ranking of 7. 3 points to Piastra, number 81. 2 points to Sargent for beating someone.
Who was this? Who are we looking at?
This is Matthews.
Oh, yep.
And 1 point to Hamilton for hanging in there and ending up with a podium. Dud of the day ×2. McLaren and Norris for the bitching and moaning over the radio. Didn't look good for Lando and didn't look good for the team overall. Max for throwing his toys out of the cot. The commentary team mentioned he did it 2 races, with the last one standing at 2:30 a.m. and had little sleep. He's paid to be a Formula 1 driver and is a multiple world champion. If he wants to go play Super Mario Kart, then do it on non-race weekends. I disagree with that. I feel bad for Piastri, as he must have been a little bit empty. I know they pitted Lando to cover Hamilton, and so he got track position over Piastri, but also Piastri was falling away and couldn't keep up. Lando had to slow down to let Piastri overtake, so he had Piastri. So had Piastri pitted first, he could have kept up Lando at bay for the remainder of the race. Correct. At least with the Multi-21, Mark was all over Seb, and it was a genuine close battle. I think it was a bit different. I think Mark's attitude to that was just like, I'm coming at you. You even saw at the end of the race with the Multi-21 saga that Mark just chops across Seb's front wing in protest. So, yeah, I think Mark sort of approached that in a very different way. Question. How long does Checo have left? Red Bull are only 51 ahead of McLaren, currently going into Belgium with Lando and Oscar seemingly the fastest team currently, and it's only a few races that they are leading the constructors. If Checo can't deliver on Sundays. Honestly, Matt, like we talked about, I think Spa's got to be a podium, so I'm just saying one more weekend, to be quite honest.
I'm doing with that.
Simon Blackburn, a race ranking without radio is a 5 out of 10. A race ranking with radio is 8.5 out of 10.
Good comment. I like it.
Driver votes. 3 to Oscar for his first ever win, even if it was somewhat overshadowed by drama. 2 to Lando for still pulling off a great final stint despite the team-created conundrum and blackmail. And 1 to Lewis for sending off a batshit crazy Max. Hero of the hour is Oscar, of course. Dud of the day, a tie between Cranky Max and a very awkward McLaren team direction. Question, now that the maiden Oscar win is done, do you think this encourages McLaren to seriously consider their team direction to give Lando best chance at the Drivers' Championship? I kind of say no, Simon, because one of the things I picked up over the radio chat was the constant think about the Constructors' Championship. And it sort of tells me that I think McLaren have sort of realised that it would take a small miracle to overhaul Max in the drivers, and that maybe they have actually ticked that box off track and recognised that let's win Constructors first, and we're not quite ready to juggle both, which I agree they're not.
Yeah, no, they're not chasing down the Drivers' Championship this year.
But I think it's a box tick that they've recognised that they're not ready to tackle 2 titles at once. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, not bad.
Paige Pearsall, a race ranking of 6. 3 points to Piastri. Aussie win always deserves 3 points, plain and simple. 2 to Hamilton. Great battles with Verstappen and reminding people of his craft. And 1 to Lando, who also had a great drive and took one for the team, which showed great maturity. And I'm proud of him for that. Ooh. I don't know how much maturity was on display there. Dud of the day, Max Verstappen for carrying like a sport toddler, and the way he spoke to his team was dud level Brittany. I don't know if people have ever heard Max speak before, but that's pretty standard Max radio chat, to be quite honest. Question. If you got to design a race helmet, which driver would you design it for, and what would you choose to have on the helmet? I would choose to design a helmet for Hamilton and have his collage of F1's best boy, a.k.a. Roscoe.
Cool. I like that.
2 simplest ways to answer that question, Paige, is I am going to design Fernando's, and I'm going to go all the way back to the 2006 helmet, and then I'm going to design Lewis's for Ferrari next year, which is going all the way back to... No, I'm going to design Lewis's for his last season in Formula 1, which is going to be his karting helmet, which was the yellow and the green and the red, which then turned into his first helmet at McLaren in 2007.
Nice. Jeez, you've done that well done.
Yep.
I'm not known for my creativity abilities.
Correct.
However, Oscar Piastri needs a new helmet.
Does he? I like it.
Yeah, no, I'm not down with it. It reminds me of Webber's helmet, which I never... It was a very uninspiring time in helmet designs. So yeah, Oscars, some sort of Melbourne theme would be cool. What's a Melbourne theme you could have? Lattes on it?
Well,
coffees?
Oscar did a Melbourne helmet for Australia this year.
Yeah. I've actually quite liked some of these different helmets. I don't find his standard helmet to be as inspiring. Yeah, I've always loved Dan's helmets, but yeah. Mind you, you put a Red Bull logo on it and something gets taken away,
There's not much room, is
there?
Yeah,
it gets taken away a bit. You got anyone else?
Shane Freo, race ranking of 9. Question, who's the biggest crybaby of the race? Max or Lando?
Good question.
Lando. Question 2, who's been the biggest dud of the year so far, excluding Perez, who wrapped up the title in about March? Who has been the biggest dud of the year so far?
It's probably going to be Sargent. He's been very underwhelming, but then he hasn't exactly had the greatest season with the car.
I could say it's a tie between Williams and Stroll, so
okay,
there you go.
Stroll?
Yep.
He's outraced your man
I don't really care.
50% of the time.
I don't really care.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
3 to Oscar, 2 to Lewis, just because I couldn't give Oscar all the points. Well, yes, you can, Shane. You could have. And 1 to Yuki, same as above. So is that 6 to Oscar? Sounds like it. Dud. 3 to RB, strategist for Dan. 2 to McLaren for actually letting undercut anyway. 1 to Rosberg for trying to bring up the whole undercut. No, again, no. I love Nico's. No, Shane, wrong. 1 to Rosberg for trying to bring up the whole undercut stuff in interviews straight after the race. Honourable mention, Lando for his Suki waiting room antics. Sam Pearsall. Well, that was some intense radio. Hey. 3 points to Lando. No. Oh, God. 3 points to Lando. Despite the race start, as much as I didn't like the awkwardness of the radio message, he put in a champion's drive at the end and should have taken the win depending on how the final 11 races go. 2 to Lewis.
Oh, dear.
Good racecraft against Max and held his own for what it's worth. 1 to Piastri. Wanted to give it to Tsunoda, George, or Perez for their recovery drives. But honestly, Piastri got onto the podium, but maybe not in the correct position.
I take back the thank yous to Sam.
Boy.
I haven't read these. I'm in shock. I'm in shock. We need to go for a ride this weekend,
and
Sam.
I thought
because
Sam had sort of corrected himself on Van Frenzy, but wow, great drive. At least he shows promise for the future races. Sorry everything has played out of the way it has.
I'm so confused.
I'm floored.
I'm so confused.
I'm floored.
Anyway, that's people's
Done
opinion.
of the day, Max.
This might be the death of Fan Frenzy.
I think you spelt Sam wrong. I'm going to assume you guys have covered this extensively in the main, but the radio and collisions were simply appalling. We didn't. Question, you have the ability to gift a driver a full video game reset to any point in their career. So they will know how everything plays out with the car development for the team, what the team moves are good or not. Now, as Australians, I know all three of us would say Ricciardo resets to 2018, so then he can never switch to Renault.
But what does he do?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Then
so he just stays, and then theoretically helps Max win the 21 titles, since he knows that year is the beginning of the Red Bull empire. So aside from Ricciardo, who do you give a redo to and what year? Alonso, Vettel, Gasly, Massa, Weber, Kubica. Who gets a reset after a bad move?
See, if Ricciardo doesn't move, I don't think anything changes, because I think Red Bull's always been Max was going to be the youngest world champion, and that's what they're always on. So yeah, I'm not sure that the move ever changes. You certainly wouldn't send him to McLaren again. But
I give Jensen a reset for 2010, where he stays at Brawn and Brawn becomes Mercedes instead of jumping to McLaren. There you go, Sam.
Yeah.
Just flawed. Someone liked and loved that comment. Paige and Simon Blackburn, yikes. I certainly hope they're not agreeing with the driver votes, because they would be the most wrong thing that I've ever sort of read in my life there.
The reset for me, Kubica. Don't go for that rally, bud.
Don't go for a rally drive.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's like a moment in time, isn't it? All right, a couple more to go. Jordan Pankraz, race ranking of 8. More strategy, intrigue than on-track action. Some dull stretches, but some good moments. 3 to Oscar. Oh, thank God. 3 to Oscar. Great base time management. Looked improved, and you can only work with the strategy the team gives you. 3 also to Lando. Proved that he had the race pace for the win, but still played the team game in the end.
He did not have the race pace.
How do you feel about people hijacking your points here with your system? Because you were kind of looking good for 3-2-1. Suddenly we got people giving double threes and ones.
Any double threes are now discounted.
Oh, so just
you don't qualify. Okay. It's like a donkey vote.
Okay, 1 to the designer of the trophies. Love them. And the designers of Lando's helmet too. Yeah, it was a good helmet actually. Honourable mention to Yuki for being the only driver to make a one-stop work.
Yep.
Dud of the day, Crofty for his non-stop crying about Max's sim racing. Do you really think that...
It was boring, him bringing it up over and over.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't mind it as a comment. Like, it's a point. It's a talking point.
Yeah, that's fair.
Should he be up to all hours racing sim?
I think he's an adult. He can do what he likes. He's a 3-time champion.
Look, I agree. And he got his 7 hours. As he said, he got his 7 hours. He didn't have to be up at a certain time. And generally when they do get up too early, they get...
That's exactly right.
A bit bored, but yeah.
Crofty just doesn't seem to like him. Question, 7 different winners this season, none of them are named Perez. Would you have guessed that at the beginning of the season? You probably kind of could, actually. Total number of winners. And winners,
you were not guessing that there were 7 different winners.
No. Oh, no, sorry, that Perez wouldn't be one of them.
Yeah, we had conversations about would anyone else win a race, didn't we?
Also, as much as I wish Oscar's first win would have come with less controversial circumstances, I'm actually really happy it did. Because now all the Oscar fanboys can stop crying about how Lando is McLaren's golden child. And Zach Brown would never let Oscar beat him and yada, yada, yada. Glad the narrative is finally put to bed.
I don't mind that comment as such, because I was like, I liked how strong McLaren were with it.
Yeah.
In terms of, sorry, not strong. Strong's the wrong word. How persistent they were with it. Yep. They didn't give up on it. And I very much like that aspect of it all.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yep.
A race ranking of 6 or 7 out of 10. A drama ranking of 10 out of 10 for Dean Holt. Wow, as I think this season is giving us everything. As a McLaren fan, that felt the 1-2 was bittersweet. Not saying Oscar didn't deserve the win as he made the car, as he made the better start, but I felt like McLaren owed Oscar a win from Silverstone when they should be favouring a driver that has a shot at a title.
True.
Lando had to give up position, also took the shine off Oscar's win a bit, which is the team's fault for putting Lando first when they should have brought Oscar in. Yes, thank you, Dean. 100% correct.
And to everyone out there, that was also Lando's opinion.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So you're wrong.
It was also Lando's opinion.
Yep.
You know, the other thing that we didn't mention, which I meant to mention, is if Lando had have had his smarts, and maybe there's team orders after a certain stage in the race, Lando gives that position back straight away and races to the line.
Yeah.
Like, that's the smartest thing to do. However, there might be, without knowing team orders, quite often team orders are, you're free to race until we get to 20 laps.
That's fair enough.
And so, yeah, you're not real sure about that.
Driver ranking 3 to Hamilton. He looked like he had the third or fourth quickest car and did a great job to hold off Max on older tyres. Feels like he has his mojo back and a smile, which is good to see. 2 to Oscar and Lando. Oscar, congratulations on a first win. Made a great start and had a great first half of the race. Until his slight mistake, he did excellent with looking after the tyres in tricky conditions, and that's normally been something he struggled with.
Mm-hmm.
Lando,
Agreed.
after the second round of stops, he really showed his true pace and was definitely quicker. Dud is Max, just showing again his petulant nature, which under pressure and when he hasn't gotten a clear car advantage, blaming Lando for pushing him off and then blaming Hamilton for the crash when he's done exactly the same thing multiple times to others and just calls it hard racing. But it's different when someone does it to him.
I don't mind that.
Yep, even GP had enough of him at the end, and he was very disrespectful with some of his comments.
Yep.
Questions. After a few of the drivers and teams are not quite being on full agreement with the radio. Also, apparently Stroll didn't give the place back to Alonso. Yes. Did you see that?
So it was
Heard about it. Sorry.
Oh, that was loud.
Sorry.
It was an orchestrated... you're going to have to play with it again. Thanks. It was an orchestrated move originally.
Yeah.
And then didn't give it back, refused to give it back. Was it asked to give it back? Tell me.
Not sure. I have no idea. I've only just heard and seen. I haven't seen any evidence of that. So, yeah. So the question, after a few drivers and teams were not quite being in full agreement, whose debrief room would you want to be in?
Oh, man.
You'd have to be McLaren's, wouldn't you?
No, I'd want to see what Red Bull are saying with Max.
I wouldn't mind being in RBs to see what Dan was saying, to be quite honest. There's a couple
there.
there.
I think that one's an obvious one. But, I want to see how they're handling Max at the moment with the threat of him leaving.
That's fair.
Are they hard enough or not? Because, I mean, God, he's brought him so much.
Yeah. Dean says he would want to be in McLaren's just to know the full story behind the race.
Do you think when GP said that it's childish to talk about this on the radio, was he talking about Max, or was he not wanting to discuss it?
I wonder if, obviously they can hear each other's team radio. I wonder if he was hearing that and it was just an opportunity for him to say to McLaren, you may be beating us off track, but we're actually just, it was more of a bit of a, we're a little bit better team than you are off track. Like, can you just shut up?
Yeah. So I didn't really see it as a snap at Max.
No.
But I can. It certainly could have been, but I certainly didn't perceive it that way.
No, it could have been like that, an inadvertent way to tell McLaren just to be quiet.
Yeah, maybe.
Last one for the round, Kingsley. A race ranking of 6 out of 10. Some good racing and driving by many, but for the level of childish drama and stage team orders finish, no one can really explain he can't give it more. He's with Jason Carter on this one. A great result on paper, but it felt a bit hollow. Oscar's body language post-race looked very strange as well. He looks much happier finishing on the lower steps of the podium than what he did there after the top step. Still gets 3 points for being on the top step for his maiden F1 win. 2 to Hamilton, just a class act. Seems more relaxed and enjoying his racing more now that the hype about his Ferrari has calmed down and the Silverstone is in the mirrors. And 1 to Lando. Team player, whether you like it or not, and really, who else came close to the top 3 this weekend? Dud of the day. Just a tough call between Max and McLaren.
Wowee. Passion.
An enormous fan frenzy.
Passion is alive and well in Formula One, which is what I like to see.
Yeah, an enormous fan frenzy there.
Yep. People have come in numbers to go and tackle it. Just just so everyone knows, if we get that many every week, we won't be able to get through them all. But yeah, we felt like it was important to get to
massive.
them.
Thank you. I loved it.
We did feel like we had to get to them this time because the passion was alive and well.
Keep them thick and fast coming.
Let's hope Spa can bring us just as much drama and passion into Formula One. And yeah, we'll be back again after that. Goodbye now.